The sky above Earth shimmered with colors that the Zorathian ambassador, Clyren, had never seen before. The planet was alive with motion, a chaotic mix of clouds, rivers, and sprawling green lands that seemed to stretch endlessly. From his sleek, silver ship, hovering high above the atmosphere, Clyren observed the bustling cities below. His first visit to Earth had been cautious. He had left convinced that humans were primitive and predictable, but something about this world felt different this time. The docking platform at the embassy was enormous, designed to accommodate ships of every size. Clyren's craft descended with a soft hum, and as the landing gear touched the surface, a small group of humans came forward to greet him. Their uniforms were simple, yet their posture and calm confidence suggested competence and intelligence. Clyren nodded politely, careful not to show too much excitement. Protocol demanded restraint, but curiosity pulled at him like a magnetic force. "Ambassador Clyren," said a tall human with bright eyes, stepping forward. "Welcome back. I hope your first visit was enlightening." "It was satisfactory," Clyren replied, his voice measured and precise. "I observed behaviors that are unusual for a species of your technological level." His words carried the faintest hint of intrigue, though his face betrayed nothing. The human smiled as if expecting the compliment, or perhaps expecting skepticism. Clyren followed them down the broad pathways that led to the central field, and that's when he saw them. At first, he thought his eyes were deceiving him. Massive forms moved with grace and intelligence across the open field, creatures unlike anything Clyren had cataloged in the galactic databanks. Some were larger than the embassy towers, their limbs strong and fluid. Others had wings that stretched across the sky, glinting like polished metal under the sunlight. They walked, ran, and even played alongside humans, following subtle gestures and soft commands. Clyren's mandibles twitched with surprise. He had prepared for warlike displays or some form of territorial aggression. What he saw instead was cooperation. The humans were not dominating these creatures, they were partners. A small human child ran toward one of the giant pets, a creature taller than the trees, with golden scales shimmering in the afternoon sun. The child laughed and held out a hand. Without hesitation, the creature lowered its massive head, allowing the child to climb onto its back. Clyren's sensors recorded every detail. There was no fear, no aggression, only understanding and trust. A human scientist stepped forward, carrying a small device that seemed to hum with energy. "Ambassador," she said politely, "these are our bigger pets. They are part of an ongoing effort to coexist with nature and harness abilities that ordinary creatures cannot provide." Clyren tilted his head. "Bigger pets? They are massive and highly intelligent. You claim they are pets?" The scientist nodded. "Yes, but pet does not mean simple. They are partners. They learn from us, and we learn from them. Many of our species' achievements rely on these bonds." Clyren's mind raced. On Zorath, intelligence was measured by logic and technology, not by empathy or partnership. He had never encountered a species that could combine brute strength, intelligence, and loyalty in such a unique way. It was both fascinating and unsettling. One of the giant creatures approached him, its massive feet making soft, ground-shaking thuds. It lowered its head, its eyes large and luminescent, studying him with curiosity. Clyren felt a surge of caution. This being could crush his ship with a single swipe or even overwhelm him physically. Yet it didn't move aggressively. Its posture was calm, inviting interaction. He extended a tentative limb in greeting. The creature mirrored him, a gentle vibration resonating from its body. Clyren realized that despite its size, it was attuned to the smallest gestures. It understood communication in a way that transcended language. "Careful," the scientist said. "They respond to intent. Hostility will provoke them. But kindness, well, you'll see." Clyren tested the advice. He lowered his posture slightly, a gesture of peace in Zorathian culture. The creature responded by lowering its massive paw to the ground. nudging his limb gently. A subtle bond formed in that moment, a bridge between two species that had never met before. Clyron allowed himself a fraction of admiration. Humans were clever indeed. The field expanded, revealing dozens more of these creatures. Some were quadrupedal, some had elongated necks, others bore shimmering wings. Clyron noticed patterns in their behavior. Each human seemed to have a specific bond with their pet, a partnership built on trust and communication. It was not just the creature's strength that impressed him, it was the human's ability to harness that strength responsibly. As they walked deeper into the field, Clyron noticed that the human's technology complemented the pet's. Hover devices, communication orbs, and energy shields worked in harmony with the creature's natural abilities. He watched a pet leap into the air carrying a human atop it and glide gracefully, controlled by subtle gestures. It was a spectacle of cooperation that no Zorathian algorithm could fully predict or replicate. Clyron's thoughts were interrupted by a loud rumble. A massive creature, larger than anything else in the field, emerged from the tree line. Its scales were dark, its eyes gleaming with intelligence and caution. The humans greeted it with calm words and gestures. Clyron stepped back instinctively. Even a minor threat from a creature of this size could be catastrophic. But the humans did not fear. They approached the creature, speaking softly. One human extended a hand, and after a tense moment, the massive being bowed slightly, acknowledging their command. Clyron's sensors recorded every motion, analyzing patterns of behavior, muscle response, and neural coordination. These creatures were not only alive, they were strategic thinkers in their own right. The human scientist turned to him. "Ambassador, Clyron, we understand that these creatures may seem dangerous, but their loyalty is absolute when treated with respect. They reflect the values of our species: cooperation, empathy, and creativity." Clyron's internal circuits hummed with contemplation. He had visited hundreds of worlds across the galaxy, encountering species that relied on brute force, cunning, or sheer numbers to survive. Yet here was a species that combined ingenuity, strength, and compassion into one formidable package. He had underestimated Earth. A sudden commotion drew his attention. A smaller pet had broken free from a minor distraction. A floating drone had startled it. Instead of rampaging, it carefully rescued a group of humans trapped nearby, carrying them to safety before returning to its assigned handlers. Clyron could not hide the shock in his sensors' readings. Such intelligence, loyalty, and judgment in one creature. It was unprecedented. He turned to the scientist. "Your species is exceptional, not merely for your technology, but for your ability to form bonds. I did not anticipate this." The scientist smiled. "We hope to demonstrate more, but please understand, these pets are not just power. They are companions, allies, and symbols of our unity." As the sun began to set, the field glowed in the golden light. Clyron observed humans and their massive pets moving in harmony, a living demonstration of cooperation that defied every Zorathian expectation. His first visit had been cautious and skeptical. This time, however, he felt a strange mixture of awe and unease. He realized that Earth had more surprises in store, more mysteries that his databanks could not explain. And somewhere in the shadows, he sensed the potential for challenges he had not yet considered. Rogue factions, skeptical Zorathians, and perhaps threats from beyond the stars. Clyron adjusted his posture and observed a giant pet approaching him again, curious and unrestrained. He had a choice: step back in fear, or engage fully with this new world and its astounding inhabitants. Curiosity, as always, won over caution. He extended his hand again slowly. The creature responded with a soft vibration and a gentle nudge. Clyron's sensors recorded the moment as a minor miracle. Here, on a planet he had once considered primitive, he was witnessing a partnership between species that could change interstellar diplomacy forever. And yet, deep in his mind, a quiet warning sounded. This was only the beginning. The bigger pets were not just symbols of Earth's strength, they were its shield, its secret, and perhaps its challenge to the galaxy. Clyron knew one thing for Certain? His first visit had prepared him only slightly for what was to come. Humans had shown him a glimpse of their power, but the real test, the one that would reveal the full extent of their ingenuity and their creatures, was yet to arrive. And as night fell over the sprawling fields, Clyron stared at the giant pets, his sensors humming with a single realization: he had underestimated humanity. Clyron stood frozen as the massive creature approached, its luminous eyes locking with his. The vibration emanating from its chest was steady and calm, yet powerful enough to make the ground beneath him tremble slightly. The ambassador felt an unusual sensation in his chest, an echo of curiosity mixed with caution. On Zorath, creatures of this size would have been dangerous, aggressive, or entirely untamable. But this one, it radiated intelligence. A human stepped forward beside Clyron. "Don't be afraid," she said softly. "This is Thalor. He won't harm you unless he senses danger. Observe him, learn." Clyron extended a limb slowly, maintaining an open posture. The massive creature responded, lowering its head and brushing its scaled snout gently against his limb. A gentle vibration ran through Clyron's sensors. It was unlike anything he had experienced before. A bond, however small, was forming. "This is fascinating," Clyron murmured. "He seems to understand me." The human scientist, Mara Chen, nodded. "Yes, that is exactly what we want you to see. Humans have cultivated relationships with these creatures for generations. We do not dominate them. We communicate with them. Together we accomplish tasks that neither species could do alone." Clyron glanced at the field. Dozens of these enormous creatures were moving alongside humans in harmony. Some carried goods too large for human vehicles. Others flew across the sky with humans atop them like living airships. The ambassador's sensors recorded every movement, noting how humans used subtle gestures and vocal cues to direct their companions. "This is remarkable," Clyron said. "On Zorath, intelligence is measured by computational ability and technological skill. Here, loyalty, empathy, and cooperation appear equally valuable." Mara smiled. "We believe strength is nothing without understanding. Our bigger pets represent that philosophy. They are not tools, they are partners." One of the pets, a massive winged creature, soared down toward the ambassador. Its wings created a soft wind that rustled the tall grass around them. Clyron felt a pulse of caution. This being could easily lift him into the air, or worse, crush him without effort. But Mara raised her hand, signaling him to remain calm. "Observe," she whispered. "They act only when trust is given. Fear or aggression will change that." Clyron exhaled a quiet breath. The creature lowered its wings and landed gracefully before him, tilting its massive head in what seemed like curiosity. It sniffed the air around him and then, gently, nudged his hand with its snout. He extended a second limb, allowing it to touch the creature's scaled face. A vibration traveled through him like a quiet hum of life. Clyron realized the creature was assessing his intent, weighing his actions before responding. It was not merely intelligent, it was discerning. "This is Thalor," Mara said. "He has been with our team for over 10 Earth years. He has learned to respond to over 50 unique commands, and he adapts to new situations quickly. But what makes him extraordinary is his judgment. He will not act recklessly. He evaluates threats and chooses his response wisely." Clyron nodded. "Your species' philosophy is impressive. On Zorath, we might rely entirely on technology to assess threats. Here, trust and understanding have the same function." Mara led him across the field, showing him several other bigger pets. There was a quadrupedal beast covered in iridescent scales, capable of carrying several humans at a time. Another resembled a massive bird, its feathers gleaming with metallic colors that seemed to shift in sunlight. Each pet moved with confidence, responding to its human companion's gestures with precision and intelligence. "They are not just pets," Mara continued. "They are allies. In times of danger, they protect humans. In times of exploration, they guide us. And in times of discovery, they show us possibilities we could not reach on our own." Clyron observed a demonstration. One of the massive creatures gently lifted a human child who had wandered too close to a river's edge. The child giggled, holding on to the creature's thick, scaled neck as it carried them back safely to the field. Another pet, a large quadruped, navigated a rocky slope with a group of humans, transporting supplies that would have been impossible to carry otherwise. Clyron's sensors recorded not only strength but also awareness. These creatures were problem solvers, able to react to situations without direct commands. They seemed to understand the humans' intentions and acted with both instinct and reasoning. This is beyond simple training, Clyron admitted. On Zorath, we could achieve obedience, but not judgment. Not independent assessment combined with loyalty. Mara nodded. Exactly. They reflect the best of what we are. Humans survive not because of brute force, but because we adapt, cooperate, and respect life around us. These pets are a part of that philosophy. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the far end of the field. A smaller pet, startled by a sudden loud noise, skidded across the grass toward a group of humans. Clyron tensed, expecting chaos. But instead of attacking or causing harm, the pet carefully gathered the humans in its massive paws and guided them to safety. Clyron's eyes widened. Intelligence, strength, loyalty, and judgment all in one creature, and humans had taught them to trust, to respond, and to protect. His species could learn from this approach. Mara observed him closely. You see why we call them bigger pets, she said softly. They are larger, yes, but also more than that. They are partners, guardians, and symbols of our connection to this world. Clyron studied Thalor, who now lowered his head and regarded him with an almost questioning look. He realized that this creature was not merely reacting to humans, it was observing him, assessing him. And in that observation, Clyron felt a mixture of challenge and respect. The ambassador began to see the potential implications. Humans had created bonds that amplified their abilities far beyond what raw technology or numbers could achieve. Each pet was an extension of human creativity, judgment, and cooperation. It was a partnership that combined natural power with strategic thought, a combination that Zorathian armies could not match without significant adaptation. As Clyron walked alongside Mara, he noticed humans coordinating seamlessly with their pets. One group moved through a rocky canyon, guiding a pet that carried heavy equipment while maintaining balance and awareness of its surroundings. Another team directed a flying creature, coordinating air movements with ground forces in perfect harmony. Clyron's mind processed the information. Humans had developed not only biological enhancements, but also strategic tactics that leveraged their companions' unique abilities. This was not mere spectacle. This was survival, adaptability, and ingenuity expressed through living, intelligent partners. A sudden alert flashed across Clyron's sensors. Mara noticed his attention shifting and smiled. Yes, we monitor the environment closely. Our pets help us respond quickly to threats, but they also teach us about ourselves, how we adapt, how we communicate, and how we respect the life around us. The ambassador nodded slowly. His first visit had prepared him only for diplomacy. This visit, however, was teaching him about humanity's hidden strengths. And the bigger pets, they were at the heart of it. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the field, Clyron realized that these creatures were more than just companions. They were a testament to human creativity, intelligence, and empathy, a living proof that strength came not just from power, but from cooperation and understanding. And somewhere in the distance, Clyron sensed subtle movements, the possibility of challenges, skeptical Zorathian observers, and perhaps dangers yet unseen. But for the first time he felt genuine respect for a species he had once underestimated. End of Part 2. Cliffhanger. One of the rogue Zorathian delegates arrives unannounced, observing the field from a distance. They speak into a communication device, their tone sharp and doubtful. Are these humans really as strong as they claim? Prepare for a demonstration? I want proof. Clyron watches, aware that he may be caught between his own people's expectations and the unexpected power of Earth's bigger pets. The rogue Zorathian delegate stood silently on a distant hill, his dark eyes scanning the sprawling field below. Clyron could feel the tension in the air, his sensors picking up subtle vibrations that signaled curiosity, doubt, and perhaps suspicion. The delegate's message had been clear: proof. Proof that humans and their bigger pets were truly capable of extraordinary feats. Clyron turned to Mara Chen, who stood beside him with calm determination. They want a demonstration, Clyron said quietly. One that proves your claims. Mara smiled faintly as if she had been expecting this. Then they will see. But remember, Ambassador, this is not about showing raw power. It's about showing cooperation, judgment, and intelligence. Across the field, the humans prepared their bigger pets. Some flexed their massive limbs, Others flapped enormous wings, creating a low roar that resonated across the ground. The sheer size of the creatures made Clyron's sensors adjust for scale. Yet it wasn't just size that impressed him. It was the seamless interaction between human and pet. Each command was subtle, often a gesture or a small sound. Yet the pets responded with precision and awareness. The rogue delegate stepped forward, projecting his voice across the field. "Ambassador Clyron, if these humans are truly capable, let them demonstrate their control over these pets. Show me their strength and their judgment. Do not allow mistakes." Clyron's sensors detected the tension in Mara's expression. "They will not disappoint," she said. "We are not here to fight, but to show understanding." The demonstration began. A massive quadrupedal pet stepped forward, carrying a group of humans across a rocky slope that would have been impossible for ordinary vehicles. Its movements were deliberate, precise, and careful. Clyron observed how the humans guided the creature using gestures, vocal cues, and even subtle body movements, all of which the pet understood instantly. Next, a winged creature soared into the air with a human rider. They performed a series of maneuvers over the field, swooping, diving, and gliding with grace. Clyron was struck by the synchronization. Every turn, every dive, every landing was flawless. It was not only a display of strength but also of communication and trust. Then came Thalor, the massive creature Clyron had first met. Mara directed him to approach a precarious ridge where several supplies were precariously balanced. Thalor moved carefully, assessing each step, lifting and adjusting the heavy loads with care. Clyron noted the intelligence in his actions, the ability to judge weight, distance, and risk without explicit commands. A sudden distraction occurred. A small drone malfunctioned, spinning out of control toward the demonstration. Clyron braced for chaos, but instead of panicking, Thalor reacted immediately. He intercepted the drone, catching it mid-air with a single swipe, and then carefully set it aside. Not a single human was harmed. Clyron's sensors recorded every detail. Intelligence, strength, judgment, loyalty. These creatures possessed qualities that combined natural instinct with learned behavior. Humans had created something extraordinary. The rogue delegate's voice rang out again, sharp and skeptical. "This is impressive. But can they handle threats?" Mara's eyes flicked toward Clyron. "Watch closely." From the forest at the edge of the field, a controlled simulation began. Humans had set up automated drones and robotic obstacles, designed to mimic potential threats. The bigger pets responded instantly. A flying creature swooped down, shielding humans from simulated attacks. Thalor maneuvered around obstacles, guiding humans to safety while avoiding danger. Another quadrupedal pet lifted a human from the path of a simulated collapse, carefully setting them down at a safe distance. Clyron watched, fascinated. Each pet was a strategist in its own right, assessing the environment, evaluating risk, and acting to protect their human companions. The ambassador realized that humans had not just trained these creatures, they had created an ecosystem of intelligence, cooperation, and survival. The rogue delegate's tone changed slightly, a hint of surprise creeping into his voice. "They are capable, perhaps more than we expected." Mara turned to Clyron. "They learn, adapt, and anticipate. That is our advantage. Our bigger pets are not weapons, they are extensions of our strategy, our empathy, and our ingenuity." Clyron studied the field. Humans and their pets moved as a single unit, combining instinct, strategy, and creativity. One pet carried supplies while another scouted ahead. A human signaled silently, and two pets adjusted their movements instantly. Coordination at this scale was something Zorathian forces had never achieved. Then the rogue delegate decided to escalate the test. A mechanical construct resembling a hostile creature was released near the center of the field. It moved unpredictably, testing reaction speed, judgment, and coordination. Clyron's sensors registered immediate tension. This was the moment of truth. The pets acted instantly. One large quadrupedal creature intercepted the construct, using its massive body to block the threat. Thalor moved to flank the construct while a flying companion distracted it from above. Humans guided their pets with precision, but it was clear that the pets were making their own judgments as well. The construct attempted to escape, but the team anticipated every move. Using both instinct and coordination, they guided the construct to a safe containment area. Not a single human was harmed. The rogue delegate's eyes widened. Clyron felt a ripple of satisfaction. Earth's strength was undeniable. Remarkable, the delegate admitted reluctantly. These creatures, your species. It is unlike anything I expected, Mara smiled. Strength is not about domination. It is about cooperation, judgment, and trust. That is why we survive and thrive. Clyron nodded slowly, feeling a deep sense of respect for humans. He had expected a primitive species, reliant on simple tools and technology. Instead, he found beings who had mastered not just survival, but harmony with their environment and the creatures around them. As the demonstration ended, the pets returned to their resting positions. Humans approached them, giving gentle touches and soft words of praise. Clyron watched this interaction closely. Mutual respect, trust, and understanding, it was more than a bond. It was a partnership that elevated both species. The rogue delegate stepped closer, scrutinizing Clyron. Your report will reflect this anomaly, but tell me, Ambassador, do you truly believe humans could handle an actual conflict? Clyron paused. He thought of Thalor, the winged creatures, the quadrupeds, and all the humans who had coordinated so seamlessly. He thought of the intelligence, judgment, and loyalty displayed. And he realized that Earth's power did not lie in sheer force alone. It lay in adaptability, empathy, and the ability to use every resource wisely. They can, he said firmly, not because of aggression or numbers, but because of cooperation, strategy, and the bonds they have formed. Their strength is not obvious at first glance, but it is formidable. The rogue delegate's expression shifted, a mixture of disbelief and reluctant respect. Clyron could sense that his report to the Zorathian Council would be difficult to write. Humans were not the primitive species his people had assumed. They were innovators, thinkers, and strategic partners capable of reshaping expectations. Mara approached Clyron, her voice quiet. Do you understand now why we rely on them so deeply? Clyron nodded. Yes, I underestimated your species. And I underestimated your bigger pets. This field is more than a demonstration. It is proof of your ingenuity. As the sun set behind the hills, casting golden light across the field, Clyron took a deep breath. This mission had been meant to observe, to report, and perhaps to advise. Instead, he had witnessed something far greater. The combination of human creativity and the power of these massive, intelligent companions. But even as he admired them, a quiet warning lingered in his mind. These creatures, while loyal and cooperative, were also capable of immense force. In the wrong hands or under the wrong circumstances, they could be unstoppable. Clyron knew that his species might not fully understand what they had observed, and some among the Zorathians might see these pets as threats rather than partners. For now, however, Earth had won its first battle of perception. Humans had shown that their bigger pets were not simply animals, they were extensions of their ingenuity, strategy, and empathy. And Clyron, for the first time, felt a mixture of awe, respect, and cautious anticipation for what came next. End of Part 3 cliffhanger. From the shadows of the field, a faint signal flickered, a message from deep space, one that the humans and Clyron could not yet interpret. Something was coming, something far larger than any pet or human could face alone. The real test of trust, coordination, and ingenuity was about to begin. The signal from deep space pulsed faintly on Clyron's sensors. It was unlike anything he had encountered before. The humans were quick to notice as well, their larger pets responding immediately to the subtle changes in the environment. Mara Chen moved to a console, her fingers dancing over holographic controls as the signal materialized into patterns of light and sound. This is new, Mara said, her voice calm but alert. It wasn't here before, I think. It's coming from outside the solar system. Clyron's mandibles twitched. On Zorath, a signal like this could indicate a threat, or a challenge of intelligence. He observed the humans closely. Their bigger pets had already begun scanning the surrounding area, using instincts and sensory adaptations that even advanced Zorathian technology could not replicate. Clyron realized the pets were more than companions. They were scouts, analysts, and guardians rolled into one. Ambassador, Mara said, turning to him. We have prepared for situations like this. These signals could represent anything, from natural phenomena to hostile entities. But we are not unprepared. Our strategy combines technology, intuition, and, well, our bigger pets. Clyron watched as a group of humans led their pets into formation. Each creature assumed a position, creating a protective perimeter around the command center. The coordination was flawless, movement synchronized with precision yet flexible enough to adapt to unforeseen circumstances. "They are not just reacting," Clyron said quietly. "They are anticipating," Mara nodded. "Exactly. This is what humans excel at, adaptability. We can't always control what happens, but we can prepare, plan, and adjust quickly. Our bigger pets are an extension of that strategy. They see, sense, and respond faster than any single human or machine could." Clyron observed a massive quadruped moving to a ridge, scanning the horizon. Its eyes glowed faintly as it processed the incoming signals, while humans nearby analyzed its data outputs. Another pet with wings unfolded, taking to the air, circling the area in a wide arc, gathering information and relaying it back to the team. "This is remarkable," Clyron murmured. "They are not just companions, they are partners in intelligence." Mara led him to a large observation platform. "Ambassador, we need to show you the full scope of our preparations. Our species does not rely solely on strength. We combine strength with strategy, intuition, and empathy. These pets are proof of that philosophy." Clyron's sensors recorded the scene. Humans and their larger companions moved in patterns that were almost like a dance, each action precise yet flexible. He realized that the humans had created a system of survival that could adapt to any threat. Their bigger pets amplified this system, acting as extensions of their own minds and instincts. Suddenly the signal intensified. The holographic display flickered, showing an object moving rapidly toward Earth. Clyron's sensors calculated its trajectory. It was fast, intelligent, and massive. It was unlike any natural phenomenon he had seen before. Mara's fingers flew across the console and the pets reacted immediately. A massive flying creature took to the air, scanning the approaching object. A quadrupedal pet moved toward the perimeter, preparing to intercept any potential threat. Humans coordinated their actions, signaling each pet with subtle gestures and vocal cues. The efficiency and precision of their teamwork left Clyron in awe. "This is what we call layered strategy," Mara explained. "We don't act on one level alone. Humans think, plan, and act simultaneously on multiple levels. Our pets allow us to extend our reach physically, mentally, and strategically." Clyron considered the implications. On Zorath, strategy was often hierarchical, rigid, and dependent on technology. Humans, however, had created a system that was adaptive, intelligent, and cooperative. Every pet acted as a unit of analysis and action, and yet the humans maintained overall command. It was a system that combined instinct, empathy, and tactical precision in a way that Clyron had never imagined. The approaching object grew larger on the sensors. It was some kind of vessel, dark and fast-moving, sending out signals of unknown origin. Mara's team worked quickly, analyzing its structure and trajectory, while the bigger pets took positions to protect the humans in the field. "Ambassador," Mara said, her voice steady, "this is where humans truly show their strength. We do not rely on sheer force. We rely on coordination, judgment, and adaptability. Our bigger pets are essential to that process." Clyron watched as the creatures reacted instinctively to changes in the environment. One pet detected a sudden fluctuation in the signal and adjusted its position to better shield nearby humans. Another projected a low-frequency vibration, analyzing the object's composition and relaying data to Mara's console. Clyron realized that the humans' preparation extended beyond simple observation. They had created a living network of intelligence, combining the abilities of humans and their larger companions into one cohesive system. The object drew closer, and for a moment Clyron felt the familiar tension of danger. But the humans and their pets remained calm, their movements precise, deliberate, and coordinated. A massive quadrupedal pet intercepted the first signals of potential threat, using its size and strength to absorb shocks, while smaller creatures moved to flank and contain the situation. Clyron could not help but marvel. On Zorath, intelligence and strength were often separate, with creatures or machines serving rigid roles. Here humans and their bigger pets had blurred the lines, creating a system in which each participant, human or pet, was capable of adapting, thinking, and responding independently while still functioning as part of a larger whole. As the object entered the Earth's atmosphere, the field remained calm. The pets assessed the situation, signaling humans to adjust positions. The approach of the unknown vessel became a test, not of strength but of coordination, judgment, and trust. Clyron felt a new understanding forming. Humans had created a form of intelligence that was not only reactive but proactive. They had anticipated unknown threats and developed a system capable of responding to them in real time. And their bigger pets were central to that system. The vessel landed softly on the outer field, revealing its shape and purpose. It was not a hostile attack, it was a scout, a vessel sent to observe Earth. Mara's team, alongside the pets, approached it carefully, their movements measured and precise. Clyron observed as the humans extended a form of communication to the vessel, using gestures, vocal cues, and even the presence of their pets to signal peaceful intent. The scout responded, projecting holographic images that showed a distant civilization seeking allies. Clyron's sensors recorded the humans' reaction. They assessed the data quickly, communicated silently with each other, and coordinated with their bigger pets to manage the interaction. "This is our philosophy in action," Mara said quietly to Clyron. "We survive not by aggression but by understanding, by cooperation, by combining intelligence with judgment and trust. Our bigger pets are not weapons. They are partners in creating alliances, solving problems, and protecting life." Clyron realized that Earth had just passed a test he had not even known existed. The humans and their bigger pets had not only survived the approach of an unknown vessel, they had engaged with it intelligently, strategically, and peacefully. The ambassador's perception of humanity shifted. The rogue Zorathian delegate, watching from a distance, spoke into his communication device. "I see, this species is not to be underestimated. They are clever, adaptable, and coordinated in ways we did not expect." Clyron nodded. "Yes. Their strength lies not in raw power, but in unity, strategy, and the bonds they have formed. The bigger pets are more than companions. They are extensions of human intelligence and judgment." As the vessel departed, leaving a trail of light behind it, Mara turned to Clyron. "This is why we prepare, Ambassador. The universe is vast and unpredictable. Strength alone is not enough. We need cooperation, adaptability, and trust. Our bigger pets help us achieve that." Clyron observed the field one last time as the sun dipped below the horizon. Humans moved among their larger companions, coordinating, communicating, and preparing for the next challenge. The ambassador's sensors recorded a pattern he had never seen before, a species that had combined empathy, intelligence, and physical power into a living system of survival and strategy. He understood, finally, that Earth's power was not obvious at first glance. It was subtle, adaptive, and incredibly effective. Humans had created something far greater than technology alone could provide. A partnership with life itself. The signal had grown stronger. Clyron's sensors hummed with data, analyzing the approaching entity. It was enormous, far larger than any vessel he had seen, and intelligent, its movements deliberate, calculated, almost alive. Mara Chen and her team moved quickly, coordinating humans and their bigger pets to prepare for the unknown challenge. Clyron watched closely, feeling a mixture of anticipation and admiration. Humans had already demonstrated their intelligence, strategy, and cooperation, but this would be the ultimate test. The bigger pets sensed it too. They moved with purpose, forming a protective network around the field. Wings flared, paws shifted, tails and limbs adjusted. Each creature was ready, and each human was connected to them, guiding and communicating silently. The enormous object entered Earth's atmosphere, casting a shadow that stretched for miles. Dust and debris rose around its landing zone, but the humans and their pets remained calm. Clyron's sensors recorded their movements, noting the seamless synchronization between species. There was no panic, only preparation. Mara spoke to her team. "Positions. Eyes open. Trust your instincts and your pet's instincts. We react as one. Remember, we are not only defending Earth, we are showing that cooperation and intelligence matter." Clyron felt a surge of respect. On Zorath, intelligence often relied on domination, rigid hierarchy, and brute force. Here, humans had created a system that combined instinct, strategy, and empathy, amplified by their larger companions. They were ready not only to survive but to thrive under challenge. The entity landed softly, though its sheer size made the ground quake. Its surface shifted with a strange iridescence and its form seemed almost organic. It scanned the area with what Clyron recognized as intelligence, calculating, observing, testing. Humans and their bigger pets held their ground. Mara raised her hand, signaling a subtle command. Thalor, the massive quadruped, stepped forward, standing tall between the entity and the humans. Its eyes glowed, scanning, calculating. Clyron watched as the pets reacted instinctively. A flying companion circled above, ready to intercept sudden movement. A smaller quadrupedal pet moved to flank the entity, while humans used gestures and soft sounds to coordinate the defense. The entity shifted, extending parts of its form toward the humans and their companions. Clyron expected aggression, but instead, it observed, studied, and calculated. Humans mirrored its movements with gestures and calm posture, signaling non-hostile intent while maintaining strategic positioning. "This is incredible," Clyron whispered. "They are not fighting blindly. They are analyzing, communicating, and coordinating simultaneously with their pets." Mara nodded. "We survive by understanding, Ambassador. Strength alone is not enough. These creatures and our bigger pets work together to read, anticipate, and adapt. That is why we are prepared for anything." Suddenly, the entity made its move. It projected a series of energy pulses toward the field. Clyron's sensors detected the threat instantly, but the humans and their bigger pets reacted faster. A flying creature swooped, deflecting the pulse with its massive wings. Thalor intercepted another pulse, using his sheer mass to absorb and disperse the energy. Smaller pets adjusted positions, creating a living network of protection. Clyron marveled at the strategy. Each pet acted independently, yet coordinated with the humans seamlessly. They evaluated threats, predicted trajectories, and protected both humans and each other. On Zorath, no single machine or creature could achieve such complex adaptive defense. The humans responded with intelligence, not aggression. Mara and her team projected signals and gestures, guiding the entity toward a position where it could be studied safely. The bigger pets anticipated her commands, intercepting pulses, flanking threats, and keeping humans protected. Every movement was deliberate, every action calculated, every bond between human and pet reinforcing the other's abilities. Clyron's mind raced. The combination of human ingenuity and the power of their bigger pets was extraordinary. The entity was vast, intelligent, and capable of destruction, but it had underestimated the coordination, strategy, and empathy that humans and their companions possessed. The entity paused as if reassessing. Clyron sensed that it recognized intelligence, strategy, and coordination when it saw them. Humans had not only survived, they had demonstrated dominance through understanding and cooperation, a concept foreign to most species he had encountered. Mara stepped forward, gesturing subtly. Thalor and the other pets mirrored her movements, creating an intricate display of unity. The entity responded by shifting its form, creating a projection of light that mimicked the patterns of human-pet coordination. Clyron realized it was communicating, testing their understanding. "Ambassador," Mara said softly, "this is more than defense. This is diplomacy, strategy, and survival combined. Our bigger pets are key to everything we do. They think, judge, and act with us, not for us, but with us." The entity sent another pulse, this time less aggressive, more observational. Thalor and the other pets moved to intercept, guiding the humans and creating a defensive network that was both strategic and adaptive. The humans responded instantly, signaling adjustments while remaining calm. Clyron's admiration grew. "It is remarkable," he said. "Your species has created a form of intelligence that is living, adaptive, and cooperative. These pets, they are not merely companions. They are extensions of your strategy, your judgment, and your ability to survive." Mara smiled. "Exactly. We don't rely on brute force. We rely on coordination, trust, and understanding. The bigger pets amplify our strengths, allowing us to face challenges that would otherwise overwhelm us." Clyron observed the entity for several more moments. It tested them with subtle movements, probing for weaknesses. But humans and their pets remained unshaken. They adapted, learned, and responded in real time, showcasing a level of intelligence and cooperation that even Clyron had not fully anticipated. Finally, the entity projected a wave of light across the field. The humans and their bigger pets held their positions, analyzing, observing, and responding. Slowly, the entity retracted, hovering a short distance above the ground. It projected a holographic display, showing patterns of understanding, cooperation, and intelligence. Clyron understood immediately. The entity had recognized their strength, not in raw power but in adaptability, judgment, and unity. Humans had passed the ultimate test. The bigger pets moved closer to their humans, lowering heads, folding wings, and adjusting posture. The humans responded with quiet words, gentle touches, and subtle gestures of praise. Clyron watched as the bond between human and pet solidified further, a living testament to cooperation, strategy, and mutual trust. The entity lingered for a moment longer, then lifted off, leaving a trail of shimmering light behind it. Humans and their bigger pets stood ready, observing its departure. Clyron felt a surge of pride and awe. He had seen civilizations across the galaxy, but none had demonstrated the combination of intelligence, judgment, and cooperation that he had witnessed here. Mara turned to Clyron. "Ambassador, today you have seen what humans can do. Not through domination, not through aggression, but through trust, coordination, and empathy. Our bigger pets are proof of that philosophy." Clyron's sensors recorded every detail. "I understand now. Earth's strength is subtle, adaptive, and formidable. You have not only survived but thrived through cooperation and intelligence. This is humanity at its finest." The rogue Zorathian delegate, watching from a distance, spoke into his device. "I see now. Humans are exceptional. Their pets, their coordination. It is unlike anything we expected. Ambassador Clyron, your report must reflect this. Earth is not to be underestimated." Clyron nodded. "It will. And more than that, I will recommend that Zorath study this species' philosophy. Cooperation, judgment, and adaptive strategy, combined with their pets, are remarkable." As the sun set, casting long shadows across the field, Clyron observed humans and their bigger pets interacting. The demonstration was over, but the lesson remained. Strength was not just physical. Intelligence, empathy, cooperation, and strategic thinking were just as powerful. And somewhere deep in Clyron's mind, a realization settled. Humanity's true power was not immediately visible, but it was undeniable. With their bigger pets, humans had created a system of survival, strategy, and diplomacy that could stand against any challenge. Terrestrial or cosmic, the ambassador extended a limb toward Thylor, who nudged it gently in response. For the first time, Clyron felt something rare among Zorathians, awe and respect for another species, coupled with hope for cooperation and understanding. "This is only the beginning," Mara said softly. "The universe is vast, Ambassador. Challenges will come, but we are ready. And our bigger pets, they ensure we are never alone." Clyron nodded. He had come expecting observation. Instead, he had witnessed brilliance. Humans had survived tests, impressed an entire alien species, and demonstrated intelligence that went beyond technology or force. And now, as night fell over the field, he knew the truth. Earth and its bigger pets had proven that humanity could stand tall among the stars. The galaxy had underestimated humans, but Clyron knew better.